Making headlines. The Maldives strongly condemns the recent storming of the Al-Aqsa Mosque by the Israeli Minister of National Security, accompanied by the protection of Israeli occupying forces. The Finance Ministry issues a directive to all state institutions mandating the completion and submission of the annual public procurement plans for 2025 during January. And the Housing Ministry introduces a dedicated phone number to provide information on government's housing initiatives and services.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to PSM News in English with me, Hafiz Abdul Sattar. And now the news in detail. The government of the Maldives strongly condemns the recent storming of the Al-Aqsa Mosque by the Israeli Minister of National Security, accompanied by the protection of Israeli occupying forces. A statement released by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs read that such recurrent attempts to alter the religious and historical status of Al-Aqsa are not only proactive but also constitute severe violations of international law. It further read that these actions represent an effort to the rights of Palestinian people and to over 2 billion Muslims nationwide. The Maldives reiterated its call upon the international community to take immediate and decisive measures to prevent further acts of aggression against religious sites and to uphold respect for international law and human rights. Furthermore, the government of the Maldives emphasized that a lasting and sustainable peace can only be achieved through the establishment of an independent and sovereign state of Palestine based on the pre-1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. The Ministry of Finance and Planning issues a directive to all state institutions mandating the completion and submission of their annual public procurement plans for 2025 during January. This initiative aims to streamline the procurement process while ensuring transparency and accountability within government operations.
In accordance with the Public Finance Regulation, state institutions are required to publish their procurement plans detailing all assets and services they intend to acquire in the coming year. These plans encompass goods, works, consultancy services and non-consultancy services that the government entities plan to procure throughout the year. The plans will include information such as the description of the procurement, the procuring entity, and the planned dates for carrying out the procurement. This detailed reporting is crucial for maintaining oversight and ensuring that state institutions adhere to the budgetary and operational guidelines. The Finance Ministry, which oversees the procurement processes, highlighted the importance of timely submission. In a circular, the ministry urged all state institutions to complete and submit their plans on or before 16 January 2025. Local councils have been given a final submission deadline of 26 January 2025, while all plans should be uploaded using the procurement module in the Banderi portal. The annual public procurement plans for 2024 were published on the ministry's website in February 2024. The ministry aims to maintain this timeline by publishing the 2025 plans during February or March 2025. In parallel with these efforts, the government is also working on establishing an electronic government procurement (EGP) system. This system is a part of the Public Financial Management Systems Strengthening Project supported by the International Development Association (IDA) of the World Bank. The EGP system is expected to enhance transparency, accountability, economic efficiency, and public participation in the procurement process.
The Ministry of Construction, Housing and Urban Development introduces a dedicated phone number to provide information on the government's housing initiatives and services.
The ministry introduced a designated number for housing enquiries, while a recent cabinet reshuffle dissolved the Ministry of Housing, Land and Urban Development, merging the ministry's housing portfolio with the Ministry of Construction and Infrastructure, now renamed as the Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure. The government is making changes to the ministry's structure such that services are more streamlined and accessible to the public. In the regard, the ministry's official numbers can be contacted for housing-related enquiries. Despite the administrative changes, the ministry said that there will be no changes to the works and services provided to the public. As part of the cabinet reshuffle, President Dr. Mohammad Muiz dissolved the Ministry of Housing, Land and Urban Development and transferred the functions of the ministry to other ministries. Functions related to the land use development of urban areas, national development planning and statistics were transferred to the Ministry of Finance, renamed as the Ministry of Finance and Planning with the change. The Maldives Bureau of Statistics, previously under the Ministry of Housing, Land and Urban Development, was transferred under the ministry. Additionally, the formulation of housing policies and social housing will now be undertaken by the Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure.
Minister of Health Abdullah Nazim Ibrahim announces that the administration has launched a substantial effort to provide psychiatry and speech therapy services in every atoll hospital throughout the country. This effort is part of the administration's commitment to fulfilling President Dr. Mohammad Muiz's electoral pledge to enhance mental health care services nationwide.
In an interview with PSM News, Minister Nazim cited the pressing need for mental health services, noting that a substantial portion of the population grapples with mental health issues in a few regional hospitals. The minister noted that many individuals are consequently compelled to travel to Male to access psychiatry and speech therapy services. He reiterated that providing these services in all atolls of the hospital was a key electoral promise of President Dr. Mohammad Muiz. He assured that the administration has already commenced efforts to establish psychiatry and speech therapy services in every atoll hospital. Minister Nazim stated that the administration is actively recruiting psychologists, psychiatrists and counselors to achieve the goal. He added that there is substantial demand for those services amongst the public. The minister also said that the government has actively engaged in recruiting professionals, psychologists, psychiatrists and counselors from within the country. According to the minister, the administration's commitment to mental health is further underscored by President Dr. Muiz's plan to invest significantly in improving and expanding psychiatry and speech therapy services across the country. Minister Nazim stated that the aim is to ensure that these services are easily and readily accessible in all parts of the country. As part of the Hafta 14 roadmap, the administration has also established a mental health helpline which is available 24/7. The Health Ministry said that a significant number of people are already utilizing this service.
Minister of Divehi Language, Culture and Heritage, Adam Nasir Ibrahim, reminds that it is the responsibility of the people not to undermine order and stability in the country, despite the rights afforded under democracy.
Speaking to PSM News on the occasion of the National Unity Day, the minister reminded the people of the great responsibility that comes with the powers of democracy. Adam Nasir pointed out that during the times of the monarch, it was the sole responsibility of the king to ensure the welfare and progress of the country. However, the minister said since Maldives has now established a democratic system, more rights have been afforded to the people, which comes with the great responsibility of reforming and steering the country in the right direction. The minister insisted that the mindset of each and every citizen must be strong and well directed to maintain order and stability in the country today. In that regard, he reminded the people that how you represent the country when abroad, the patriotism one demonstrates, and how one maintains morals and behavior are pivotal to maintaining order and stability that can be seen in the history of the Maldives. The minister said when the National Unity Day is being celebrated to remind the bitter memories of the 2004 tsunami, the Maldivian people must remember that we are one people in so many aspects. Therefore, the disaster of 20 years ago demonstrated the brotherly relationships and unity that have always existed among the Maldivian people. Mr. Adam Nasir said despite the changes we witness in the modern world, the unity demonstrated by the Maldivian people on that day 20 years ago will forever remain with them.
The Maldives reports a revenue of around $16.1 million from imports and exports in November. According to statistics from the Maldives Customs Service (MCS), imports excluding fuel remain largely the same compared to last year, with goods worth $220.5 million. However, with fuel, imports in November are down, totaling $259.4 million compared to $278.9 million in November of the previous year. Machinery and electrical equipment, fuel products and food items are the main imports in November, accounting to $32.4 million. The majority of imports come from the United Arab Emirates, UAE, China, India, Singapore and Malaysia. The major importing countries are the UAE with $6.7 million, China with $39.4 million, India with $37.7 million, Singapore with $16.4 million and Malaysia with $10.8 million. The import value of food items stands at $57.3 million. Imports of machinery and electronic equipment are valued at $46.5 million, while expenditure of fuel reaches $37.7 million in November. According to MCS statistics, Maldives exports declined last month. In November last year, the country exported fish products worth $14 million. However, fish exports stand at $7.8 million during the same period this year. Male City Council closes the area in front of Male Grand on Majidi Magu to facilitate drainage improvement on the road, leading to changes in traffic flow in the capital city. The Male City Council stated that the closure was part of ongoing efforts to resolve flooding issues on Majidi Magu, the city's main road, while the work will be conducted in block sections. The first block, which is the area in front of Male Grand, is currently under construction. The works are scheduled to be carried out from 28 December 2024 to 4th January 2025. The changes in traffic flow will affect Majidi Magu between Chandani Magu and Raddeba Magu. The council has apologized for any inconveniences that may be caused to road users. The Maldives National University MNU announces the call for abstract submissions for the upcoming Teveli International Conference scheduled from 18th to 20th August 2025. The conference, established in 2017, will focus on the theme Evolving Paradigms, Merging Research, Evidence and Practice. This year, MNU introduces a new feature, the Student Research Symposium. This inaugural event, aimed at promoting research and scientific writing among MNU degree students, will take place on 18th August 2025. The symposium is part of MNU's efforts to foster a research culture at the university. Keynote speeches will be delivered on 21st August 2025, concluding the conference. The symposium will be student-organized with a collaboration from faculty. Research papers can be submitted in Divehi, English and Arabic. The conference will feature awards for outstanding paper and early career research. Abstracts are due by 31st May 2025, with full papers due by 30th June 2025. Presentations must be submitted by 31st July 2025 and registration are post-conference sessions open on 5th July 2025 with a final registration due by 5th August 2025. Teveli International Conference seeks to spread knowledge both locally and globally, bringing together scholars and students to share valuable insights. Nordstrom is said to be acquired by its founding family and the Mexican retailer Liverpool in a $4 billion all-cash deal. This move follows a failed attempt 6 years ago to take the company private.
Nordstrom will be acquired by its founding family and Mexican retailer Liverpool for nearly $4 billion in an all-cash deal, leaving public markets after 54 years as the business attempts to tackle slowing demand. Professor Mary Ebner from the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York expressed that this is an exciting opportunity, and considering the current retail environment, it is an ideal time for the company to go private.
I think it's an excellent time to do that, and I think they're in for big changes. What's interesting about Nordstrom is that they tried to go private in 2018, and there was an offer on the table for almost double the price per share, and the board rejected it. And the board just unanimously approved this offer with El Porto. So this is an exciting opportunity. And given the retail environment, I think this is a great time for them to go private.
The $24.25 per share deal is 42% higher than the stock's close on March 18, a day before Reuters exclusively reported that the founding family was seeking to take Nordstrom private 6 years after a similar attempt.
So because if it were a private equity play, they would want to improve Nordstrom and sell it off in 5 years. That's not what's happening here. The family is going to stay as a major player in this, and they will keep it true to the DNA of how it started.
Nordstrom shares have fallen nearly 70% from their all-time peak in 2015, as the rise of e-commerce giants such as Amazon led to a change in consumer shopping habits. Higher input costs and supply chain snags following the COVID-19 pandemic have pressured the company too.
After Israeli airstrikes struck multiple in Yemen, the top UN aid official in Yemen, Julian Hannes, said that Sana'a Airport was a civilian infrastructure used by international aid workers to access the north of Yemen.
UN aid official in Yemen, Julian Hannes, said that the airport was a civilian infrastructure used by aid workers to access the north of Yemen, warning that if the airport is disabled, it will paralyze humanitarian operations.
The airport of Sana'a is a civilian infrastructure. It is the location whereby all of the international humanitarian aid workers who work in the north of the country come in and leave by. So if that airport is disabled, it will paralyze the humanitarian operations.
Hannes told reporters that there was no need to prove that they were civilians, but rather Israel needs to prove that they are hitting military targets. He added that Sana'a Airport was not used as a military target since 2016.
But I think the bigger issue is parties to the conflict have an obligation to ensure that they are not striking a civilian target, or not striking civilians. The obligation is on them, not on us. We don't need to prove we're civilians. They need to prove that they are hitting a military target. Sana'a Airport has not been a military target since 2016.
The United Nations says more than half of Yemen's population, some 18 million people, need humanitarian help. Hannes told reporters that it is expected to rise to 19 million next year due to worsening economic conditions in the country. He also said airstrikes on Hodeidah port were particularly concerning as it was absolutely vital because Yemen imports about 80% of its foodstuffs.
80% of Yemen's food requirements for the north comes through Hodeidah harbour, and I would say close to 90%, 95% of all the medical supplies. So the harbour is absolutely vital. If that harbour is decapacitated, and there have been numerous airstrikes on that harbour, there was airstrikes twice yesterday. Some days ago, the tugs, which are used to bring in the big ships, 2 tugs were destroyed, and there have been previous airstrikes in and around the harbour over the last months. If that harbour does not operate, then we will see a dramatic and sudden decrease in the humanitarian situation in Yemen.
He further noted that the port was also a civilian facility and the destruction of it would lead to massive suffering for Yemenis.
Cristiano Ronaldo said that Vinicius Jr. deserved this year's Ballon d'Or.
Cristiano Ronaldo said that Vinicius Jr. deserved this year's Ballon d'Or, adding that galas always do the same thing, and that is why he preferred the Honest Globe Soccer Awards. Vinicius finished second in voting behind Spain and Manchester City midfielder Rodri to miss out on the prestigious award. Real Madrid meanwhile dominated the Dubai Globe Soccer Awards on Friday, with Vinny Jr. scooping the men's best player honor. Vinny Jr. scooped the award ahead of the club teammate Jude Bellingham and Ronaldo, while also being named the best forward of the year.
Now I was joking, but I really love the way they do their career. Bellingham, Lamine now, this young generation, Vinicius, that they do a fantastic job, and in my opinion, he deserved to win the Golden Ball. It was unfair, in my opinion. I say here in front of everybody. They give to Rodrigo. He deserves to, but I think they should give to Vinicius because he win the Champions League. They scored in a final goal.
Bellingham won the Best Midfielder of the Year accolade as well as the Maradona Award, while club goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois received a Career Award. Real Madrid were named Men's Club of the Year, while coach Carlo Ancelotti Best Coach of 2024. Ronaldo was honored as the Best Middle East-based player and also received a custom-made trophy as the top goal scorer of all time.
NASA reveals that its Parker Solar Probe was safe and operating normally after successfully completing the closest ever approach to the Sun by any human-made object.
The spacecraft passed 3.8 million miles, about 6.1 million kilometers from the solar surface on December 24th, flying into the Sun's outer atmosphere called the corona, on a mission to help scientists learn more about the Earth's closest star.
And its closest approach happened on December 24th. And that all happens autonomously as the spacecraft operates and does its own thing. What we got yesterday was the confirmation that it survived. And what we'll get coming soon is the actual data from the flyby. So it continues to excite.
The agency said that the operations team at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory in Maryland received the signal, a beacon tone, from the probe just before midnight on Thursday. The spacecraft is expected to send detailed telemetry data about its status on January 1st. According to NASA's website, moving at up to 430,000 miles per hour, the spacecraft endured temperatures of up to 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit or about 982 degrees Celsius. NASA's heliophysics director, Dr. Jones Westlake, told Reuters that this mission was theorized in the 50s, adding that it is an amazing achievement to create technologies that allows to delve into the understanding of how the sun operates.
You know, a solar probe has been something that humanity has dreamed of doing since the early days of NASA. This mission was theorized in the 50s, right? Really an amazing achievement to be here today, to know that we created the technologies that got us there, and then to be able to delve into our understanding of how the sun works and how the sun operates in such a detailed way, right? We're rewriting the textbooks on how the sun works with this data and with the information that we get from this.
The Parker Solar Probe was launched in 2018 and has been gradually circling closer towards the Sun, using flybys of Venus to gravitationally pull it into a tighter orbit with the Sun. Westlake said the team is preparing for even more flybys in the extended mission phase, hoping to capture unique events.
And that's all we have for this hour. Thank you for watching. Wish you all a very pleasant time ahead.